Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Sid. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Sid_Dwyer. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Psychic Twins. If you don't know who the Psychic Twins are, their names are Terry and Linda Jameson, and they are twins who claim to be psychic. They've been around for the longest time, but it wasn't until 2015 that they started to gain a big online following, and that was because internet celebrity Shane Dawson took them under his wing and set them up with a YouTube channel and then hooked them up with a bunch of YouTuber collabs. So if you know about the Psychic Twins, you probably heard about them from a talk show, their YouTube presence, or maybe you got scammed by them. And I've actually already made a video about them, but more in relation to their connection with Shane Dawson. In this video, I'm going to be talking about them in a broader sense, not just what Shane Dawson had to do with them. And I will say that this is probably one of the more fun videos that I've made. When I first started watching the Psychic Twins 6 or so years ago, I didn't really think much of what they were saying, but now, being more hyper aware while watching their content, it's really been cracking me up. Like in one of their YouTuber collab videos with Trisha Paytas, they were just telling her something, and then all of a sudden they were like, "Did you know that you have a connection to the ancient civilization of Atlantis?"
I felt, I feel connected. There's a connection with the ancient civilization of Atlantis.
Oh,
really?
Cool.
Yes.
Like, what? There is just so much stuff that I may have once just looked past, but now just recognize as complete stupidity, quite frankly. Anyway, in this video, I'm going to be talking about their failed predictions, the predictions that they had for 2021, and if they came true, the YouTubers they did psychic readings with, the reviews they've received, and why they get some predictions right. But yeah, to start off with, I'm going to go over the world predictions that they made for 2021, because it is now the start of 2022, so what a better time to see what they got right for last year. So yeah, they made a post on their website for all of the 2021 predictions, so let's go through it. So at the very start of the post, they mention how they've won 2 awards. And when I first saw that, I was like, those awards must be related to psychic stuff. But these are the awards they got. The Visible Heroes Award that they got in 2019 for spreading awareness about diseases and stuff. And then also an award from the British Web Awards for their series called G-Spot. Objection, Your Honor. Relevancy? Like, what was the purpose of mentioning those 2 random awards from 1 to 2 years ago that have literally no relevancy to the post at hand? Anyway, the first kind of prediction that they make is that the pandemic will substantially reduce by fall. I don't know about y'all, but I'm pretty sure the pandemic is worse than it's ever been. And I mean, just look at this graph. In the United States, the fall is when it started to get worse again, not when it started to reduce. Then they predict that Trump will have some kind of health issue, but I mean, he's 75. He's bound to have some kind of health issue. But I googled it just to see if there was anything out there that confirmed that he did have some kind of health issue, but I couldn't find anything. So I mean, they could have got that one right, but we don't know. But to be honest, even if they got that one right, I'd still be saying that it doesn't count because he's bound to have a health issue. Tell me exactly what kind of health issue, and then I'll consider that some kind of correct prediction. Then they say that the US will have a bigger recession than the one that took place in 2007 to 2009. Pretty sure there wasn't a bad recession or a recession at all in 2021, and I couldn't find anything online about it either. But what I did find online were a lot of concerns that a recession would take place because of the pandemic. So I feel like they were just making a logical guess based on what everybody else was thinking would happen. Unluckily for them, but luckily for the residents of the United States, it did not happen. Anyways, a lot of their predictions in this post are just very general statements, like there will be extreme weather. Baby, Mother Nature is extreme every year. And then giving broad predictions like saying that there will be terror attacks, and then listing off a whole bunch of countries and cities that they may take place in. The girls are really covering their bases. But honestly, there weren't a whole lot of predictions in that post because they spent a lot of time just bringing up past accurate predictions rather than predicting stuff for the future, which I feel like was to throw us off the fact that all the predictions that they were giving us were broad and vague. Okay, so now let's talk about their time on YouTube. In December 2015, with the help of Shane Dawson, they launched their YouTube channel. And at the start, they came in strong with plenty of YouTuber collaborations, and those were pretty successful. And then after Shane was out of friends that were willing to do him a favor, they moved into doing predominantly conspiracy theory videos. And in those videos, I kind of expected them to be sitting there doing their automatic writing thing, trying to debunk these conspiracy theories. But they kind of just outline the theories and give their take on them, which is totally fine, and I completely prefer that to their predictions. But after multiple controversies, which I will get to shortly, their views began to dwindle, they stopped talking about conspiracy theories, and they stopped doing YouTuber collaborations and stopped posting altogether. But luckily, in the time that they were posting, they gave me plenty of content to talk about, because there's one video of theirs in particular that I want to bring some attention to, and that's their video titled How to Spot a Fake Psychic, where they give tips on how to spot a fake psychic. So one of the first tips that they bring up is that if a psychic says that they made an accurate prediction but doesn't cite where they made that prediction, then they are likely a fake psychic.
And also, if they say, oh, we made this prediction, but they don't have a link to the actual prediction of the radio show or the TV show where they made the prediction, that's a red flag too.
Yet the twins constantly say they predicted stuff correctly and never cite where they made that prediction. Like that post of theirs that I just went through, at the very start they say that they predicted the pandemic, yet they don't say where they made that prediction. And their 9/11 prediction is something that they throw around all of the time. And most of the time they won't say where they made their prediction. Sometimes they will reference where they made that prediction, but most of the time they won't. Like on the Jeff Probst show, Jeff really spends a minute talking about specifically their 9/11 prediction, and they get so many opportunities to bring up where they made that prediction, but they never do. And a time I found when they did cite where they made that prediction, which was on The View, they just said that they made that prediction on an international radio show, not the specific radio show that they predicted it on, which was the Art Bell radio show, which hardly counts, because if I Google search Psychic Twins 9/11 prediction international radio show, their prediction does not come up. Like the whole point of them saying where they predicted something is so we can go back and fact check it, to confirm that they are actually a legit psychic, but they don't even do that themselves. And I really don't care if they cite where they make their predictions or not, but it's hypocritical of them to say that a psychic is fake if they don't cite where they make their predictions when they don't even do it themselves. And then the next tip that they give is that if a psychic makes a vague prediction, then they're a fake.
They may be too vague, like, don't worry, someday you'll find somebody.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little bit vague. We always say who, what, when, and where for a good prediction or a good prophecy.
At least a time frame and maybe some
Right.
qualities, characteristics that person might have, what kind of work, what they might look like. That is more the kind of thing you want to look for than, oh, you won't be alone, you know, you'll always have love around you. That's not a real psychic in our opinion.
All of the predictions that I just said in their 2021 predictions post, they were all vague. And then another pointer that they give is to stay away from psychics with gimmicky names.
A lot of fake psychics use fake names that are really hokey, like Psychic Sonia or Madame Rose or
like the Psychic Twins. Do you see what I'm getting at? There's just a lot of hypocrisy there. And when the twins are faking being psychics and doing things that psychics typically do, like give psychic readings, there's always one thing that they'll do in a reading that pretty much serves no benefit, and that's to stroke the recipient of the reading's ego. Like there is such a high amount of ego stroking in all of their psychic readings. And to be honest, this isn't a very big point to make, but I thought it was amusing, so I decided to stick it in here anyways. So yeah, in every reading, the psychic twins always go above and beyond to make the person that they're reading for feel good. And yeah, that is kind of standard in terms of customer service, but the twins really go the extra mile. And they do that by talking about the person's past lives. If you've ever watched any of their readings, you'll notice that everyone they've done a reading for has had an amazing past life.
do you realize that you were a protege to Beethoven? You were a mystic in Egypt in a past life. You were a thinker. You were actually in ancient Greece, there's 11th century. You were a scholar. Jason, we felt that you were also a Native American. You were a female in that life. You had very powerful healing abilities. Healer, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
Yes. Yeah. But you were very powerful in that tribe.
We were a prince in Germany.
Oh, I got that.
I knew I was a fan.
Even though statistically speaking, everyone should have had horrible past lives than lives that were great. In reality, most of them probably lived in poverty or died from some disease at a young age or just did not live a very remarkable life. But in the twins readings, you get a great past life, you get a great past life, and you get a great past life. They can make their customer feel good knowing that at least in a past life, they had their shit together, distracting from the fact that they're not making predictions about what actually matters. The future. So then, after about a year of making YouTube content, they then hit some turbulent waters. So now I pretty much want to talk about what was causing the water to be so turbulent. Because it really was. I would go as far as saying that this was the worst era of YouTube for them. And again, it kind of makes me think that if they were actually psychic, they would have been able to foresee that this era of YouTube for them would have been one of the most impactful things to their reputation and their image. And I, of course, am talking about the year 2016. In that year, there was controversy after controversy after controversy about them. So the first hiccup that the Psychic Twins encountered in 2016 was when they got a bad review from someone. A YouTuber uploaded a video about their experience that they had with the Psychic Twins, and it was not a good experience, and that video got hundreds of thousands of views.
Hello? Hi, Terry. Hi, Linda.
So in the video, she firstly explains how a psychic reading with the Psychic Twins works. Before the reading even takes place, the twins ask the recipient of the reading 10 things that they would like answered.
Now, they asked me to email them some information about myself, a list of 10 questions that you want them to hit on, a list of 10 questions that you want them to talk about, you want them to address.
And in this review of the twins, she already thinks that that's kind of sus, because there's a lot you can work out about a person and like what stage they are in life and like what they want in life by like those 10 questions. She then brings up how she asked the twins a yes or no question and they predicted that incorrectly.
Also, I had asked them a very specific personal question, and it was a life-changing situation. And I said, is the answer yes or is the answer no? I need to know. They told me, without a doubt, they said no. The answer is no. I think I found out a week later, the answer was yes. The answer was, without a doubt, a yes. And they had told me it was no.
She then talks about how they bring up her family's health, but don't allude to any of the huge family health issues that were going on at the time.
They didn't mention not one of these issues. They were like, okay, so we're going to talk about like, you know, family health things that are going on. None of these life-changing, serious issues were ever brought up. Never brought to my attention, not once. The only thing that they ever mentioned health-wise in my family was back pain. They said someone in your family has back pain.
Like, you think that they would pick up on the most impactful stuff. And as we just went over, she brings up that the twins filled the reading with a lot of filler.
They've told a lot of people this, and they told me this as well. They told me, like, you're a psychic, you're a clairvoyant and clairsentient. And they filled a lot of time up with talking about like explaining things that didn't really need explaining. So like, so you're clairvoyant, so this means that you can sense things and you're blah 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 blah, and you're clairsentient, which means you hear things that are blah blah blah. It's like, okay, moving on, I know what that means, thank you, moving on. And they also told me that I will have crystal children. And then again, they took a lot of time to explain what a crystal child was. They're being born into groves to be brought onto the earth to heal the earth, blah, blah, blah. And they also told me, you're not from this planet. You're from a different star system. They said that to everyone. They said that to Trisha. They said that to Joey. They said that to Jenna Marbles. Like, you're from a different star system. You're not from this planet.
And yeah, to reiterate, this is a very common thing for the twins to fill their readings and their books with. If you look up the reviews for any of their books or reviews for the twins on a website such as Ripoff Report, you will find that a lot of complaints are centered around the fact that they explain things and talk about things that don't need to be talked about. And other than that, there were just a whole bunch of other incorrect predictions.
And they said, I see you having a child next year. I see you having two children for you. We are seeing 2 girls, possibly a boy and a girl. Guess what? I'm never having children, you guys. They also told me that you're gonna buy a house really close to where you are now, like a few towns over. That's not happening either. We're gonna move out to Washington, or we're going to move out to California, which, by the way, is on the opposite side of the continent.
But yeah, because that video went viral, it really called into question the twins' abilities. And then after that bit of controversy, later in the year, the twins decided to do something very questionable. And this thing in particular is something that I've seen more people bring up as like a slight against the twins than anything else. And the thing that I am of course talking about is the time when they channeled JonBenet Ramsey. If you don't know who that is, she was an American child beauty queen who mysteriously died or was killed. And the twins pretty much did some psychic stuff so that JonBenet's spirit would inhabit one of the twins and talk through one of the twins.
Okay, let's do that. So we're gonna channel JonBenet. Yeah. We're gonna talk to her.
Okay, we're connecting with JonBenet Ramsey. We connect with the spirit of JonBenet. Are you with us?
Yes. Yes. I am here.
Thank you for coming in and speaking with us today, JonBenet. We've been talking about your sad passing, and we've been talking with you a lot this week. Can you tell us what happened that night that you were killed?
It was a shock. I was so surprised.
It was just very messed up and very distasteful. Like earlier, I talked about them making conspiracy theory videos and how they would just pretty much give a rundown of the conspiracy theories and how they wouldn't bring their psychic abilities into it. And I was like, that's a good thing, because when they do, shit like this happens. Okay, so moving on. You know how people say that bad things come in threes? Well, the twins were definitely no exception to that in 2016, because at the end of that year, they got one last hit of controversy. For a lot of people, 2016 was defined by Donald Trump winning the presidential election. You know, it's a shocking moment in history. And for the twins, it was definitely a defining moment for them as well, but for different reasons. Because they predicted that he wouldn't win the election, but obviously he did. And because of this incorrect prediction, they received an immense amount of hate, to the point where they had to deactivate their Twitter account temporarily. And then after that, they reactivated their Twitter account and they put out a YouTube video about their incorrect prediction, where they pretty much just blamed the Mandela effect and like shifting realities or something.
And maybe this is like a different video, but I felt like that day, even waking up, and I'm not into politics at all, like I really not.
I'm not really either.
But that day, when I woke up, everything felt different.
Yes,
it almost felt like there was something fucked up going on.
Yes.
And I don't know that much about astrology. I'm like, maybe the moon is whatever. I didn't know.
It was a
supermoon.
Supermoon. So
Yes.
when I woke up, something felt wrong. And then when he won, it was such a crazy feeling of this isn't real.
It wasn't.
And the next day, everybody's like, how did that?
It was surreal.
How did that happen?
It was
And
wonky.
Then I started thinking like, oh shit. Like,
What happened?
I'm like, did something like
Yeah.
trip up or
Yes.
something change?
And
something
listen,
switch?
I have to
Yes.
tell you,
Everything can change at the drop of an instinct. Everything can change. Mandela effect,
right.
parallel universe. Everything can fucking change. Everybody saw Hillary winning, even Hillary.
everybody,
Even the Fox
And then-
News
even
people
Trump.
were
And then at the
saying-
last second, it like switched, and nobody believes that it's real. I still don't believe it's
it's a
real.
Mandela effect.
we don't
Yeah,
believe
that's what it is.
That's what it is. Let's just blame it on that.
and it's
So yeah, all that was very impactful for them, and they didn't predict any of it. Okay, so now, just to keep things, balanced, I'm going to go over some things that they have gotten right. Because, as they are always quick to remind us, they get a lot of things right. I mean, supposedly right. And I do get why they would constantly reiterate things that they get right, because how else would they justify charging people hundreds of dollars for psychic readings? Like with Shane Dawson repeatedly telling us how he's an empath, and Gabby Hanna repeatedly telling us how she's the victim. There's always one thing that these kinds of people have to reiterate to justify how they're acting and what they're doing. So yeah, let's go over some of the things that the psychic twins predicted correctly. So I'm going to start off with their biggest claim to fame, the 9/11 prediction. I'm going to play the first time that they predicted anything in relation to the World Trade Center, which happened on the Art Bell show on November 2nd, 1999.
We are seeing various terrorist attacks on federal government, federal buildings.
Yeah, particularly South Carolina or Georgia.
Really?
By July 2002. And also the New York Trade Center, the World Trade Center in 2002.
Really?
With a terrorist attack. And yeah, so that's pretty much
school shootings.
So obviously they predicted the year that it would happen in wrong. And in 1993, the World Trade Center had already been attacked by terrorists. And then after that, there were known threats of terrorism made against the World Trade Center. So you didn't really have to be a psychic to guess that it could happen again at some point in time. And not only that, but over time, they have completely changed and added details to this prediction. Years later, in 2006 to be exact, on the Dr. Keith show, they added more details to this prediction. Apparently, they had also written down this prediction, which was seemingly a lot more detailed. They had also apparently written down, but not said on the Art Bell show, that Bin Laden would be behind it and 5,000 people would perish. Key things that when all put together make a pretty striking case that the psychic twins are in fact psychic. But the thing is, when they made their original prediction on the radio show, one of them said that that was pretty much it.
attack. And yeah, so that's pretty much
school shootings.
And are now claiming years later that that wasn't it. And this is just my opinion, but on that radio show, when she said it was pretty much it, I believe that that was it. And when they go on a talk show or something and they're asked about the 9/11 prediction, they say that their prediction that they made on our radio show was specific and detailed, when, as we know, it was nothing of the sort.
20 million people heard that prediction in detail, and it's through our automatic writing we got all that specific information about exactly what transpired.
Specifics, or did you say there would be some kind of attack?
Oh, it has to be specific, or we wouldn't be sitting here, I'll tell you that. It was everything that happened.
And it happened exactly as we predicted.
And I believe it was on The View when they were talking about their 9/11 prediction, and the twins that say that they predicted it on a radio show, and then they flash up on the screen a piece of paper with their supposed prediction, and most of the stuff on that piece of paper wasn't even included in the Art Bell radio show prediction. So how can they cite that they predicted it on that radio show when most of the stuff that they're claiming to have predicted they didn't even say in the radio show? And the reason why I strongly believe that they didn't write down all that stuff until after 9/11 happened is because there's just inconsistencies in their story. Like, one inconsistency they've said is that leading up to making the 9/11 prediction, they were doing their automatic writing thing in separate rooms, and then separately came to the 9/11 prediction.
We were both sitting in different rooms, and we both realized when we compared our notes.
And then one of them says that they were sitting next to each other and then came to the 9/11 prediction.
That day we tuned in and we predicted, we sat writing next to each other.
So it's things like that that poke little holes in their story, which just gives me Trisha Paytas contradiction vibes. And the reason why I've focused on the 9/11 prediction so much is because they really do use that prediction to sell their books and to sell psychic readings. They use that prediction to give themselves so much credibility when it's just built on lies. I think the way that they make predictions is summed up pretty well when Shane Dawson made a video with them doing celebrity predictions, and Shane predicts something that happens to come true, like literally right down to a T, it comes true. And Shane's not even a psychic.
Ooh, I have a prediction. I don't know literally anything about them, but I watched one of their music videos, and then I watched one of their interviews for some reason.
Okay.
And I have a prediction. The girl, I don't know her name, but she looks like Selena Gomez.
Okay.
And she's small.
Okay.
I think she's
Yeah,
like
one
the
of the
most
lead
popular
singers.
one. I think she's gonna leave.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think all the other ones are gonna be like, oh, and then they're all going to try to keep going, and it's not going to work.
Is that not exactly what happened to Fifth Harmony? That was more specific than any prediction that the Psychic Twins have ever made. Like, the only specific, accurate prediction to come from that video was one made by someone who's not even a psychic. And on a side note, what's kind of funny is that in a later video, they try to claim Shane's prediction as their own.
We also predicted Camila Cabello. Oh, Camila Cabello, we said that she would be leaving Fifth Harmony and the group would go on for a while and then break up.
Are you not embarrassed? This is really embarrassing.
But yeah, Shane just made a guess based on what he's seen and what like the dynamics are in Fifth Harmony. And I truly believe that that is the case for a lot of the Psychic Twins predictions. They just make guesses based on things that are likely to happen. And most of the time, they will get it wrong. There are just so many predictions of theirs that are unaccounted for. And sometimes they will get it sort of right. The things that they do get somewhat right, anyone could have guessed. But let me just back up that point a little bit further. In another one of their celebrity predictions videos, they say that 6 years ago on the Today Show in Australia, they predicted that Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt would get a divorce.
What about Brad and Ange? Will they last?
Not that many
No.
years, to be honest with you.
No.
Yep, I'll give them that. They predicted it. But then they go on to explain how they came to that prediction.
Well, when you have a lot of trouble in your history and past marriages don't work, and then you pile on a lot of kids to that, there's no way anybody could handle that kind of stress.
It seems like they're just using their logic to determine whether or not a marriage would work between two people, not their actual apparent psychic abilities. And really, all their celebrity prediction videos are kind of just gossip videos. It's just them bouncing around theories. I'm not done just yet. Another prediction that they got right that I want to bring up is them being able to guess Tana Mojo's stalker name. Because at the time, this was kind of a big deal because Tana's stalker was unnamed. At the time when they predicted it, they bleeped out the name, but Tana Mojo has now revealed that her stalker's name is William.
There are anywhere in the family. That's my stalker's name. Oh! Is that known?
I bet you never
that
shared
name?
that with anyone.
Oh my god.
Okay.
So how did they pull that name out of thin air? Perhaps they are actually psychic, or perhaps they got lucky. A fun fact about the name William is that it is the 5th most common male name. The odds were in their favor. And one thing that they seem to do in every single psychic reading that they've posted to YouTube is just throw out a whole bunch of names that are supposed to have some kind of relevancy to the person they're doing the reading for. But lo and behold, far more often than not, the names don't stick.
There's a Edward or I don't know why, ED something. Could be,
Living?
yeah, living. It feels like living or dead, but ask your mom because I keep getting an Edward.
Connected with her.
Yeah, I mean, it could be Edwina. There's a Steve or Steven coming in too. I just have to show the names because it
I
might
got
be...
Steven too.
Okay,
Andrew
so
and Steven.
there might be a
Steve.
that you know or have known. There's a Francis or Frank coming in. It feels like a...
Funny, I was getting Frank.
Were you?
I thought it was for Jenna.
I know it's not Frank Sinatra.
And is there like a G name like Greg or
Yeah.
George anywhere in the family ancestry?
Yeah, I
G?
Going
yeah,
back.
G like a
My
George.
mom is named Gloria.
Oh,
Okay.
that's okay.
Okay.
Gloria. All right,
Okay.
there's a G name.
And I just have to verbally mention a time when they were doing a reading for Peter Mon that just totally cracks me up. They were guessing names, as they do, and then they suggest that there is someone in his life of importance with the letter M. Peter ums and he ahs, and then he says that he knows someone with a middle name that starts with M. I really could not believe that when I saw that happen.
Did one have an M initial, either first or last name?
Yeah.
Oh,
I want to say Michael.
yeah.
Okay.
Last name.
Okay. And
Oh,
so
middle name, Michael.
Okay.
Michael, middle name.
Oh.
Okay. When there's more than one first name person, we usually get a middle name
Okay.
to differentiate.
And when he said that, the Psychic Twins were like, oh, yep. Tick. That's an accurate prediction. Are we really taking middle names into account now? The amount of grasping at straws is ridiculous. Believe what you want to believe, but I strongly believe that they just got lucky when they guessed Tana's stalker's name. They just throw out a bunch of names to see what sticks. Yeah, I think that's enough to show why and how they sometimes get things right. My fingers are definitely going to be sore after this from the amount of air quotes that I've done in this video. So yeah, I just think the Psychic Twins make vague predictions about things and are just in tune with celebrities and pop culture and the world so they can make educated guesses about what's going to happen next. To anyone who thinks that the psychic twins are still psychic, I implore you, please go look at any one of their correct predictions and I promise you, you will be able to debunk it. I had so much more that I could have mentioned. I have like a full-on list that I could totally make into a whole separate video, but I feel like I've already established the point enough. Psychic twins, hit me up if you want to give me a reading to prove me wrong. Anyways, that's pretty much it. If you enjoyed this video, it would be amazing if you considered joining my Patreon page, where you get access to all of my YouTube content 12 to 24 hours early. You also get a whole bunch of bonus exclusive content on there as well. So yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to drink water, be nice to animals. Let's take a moment of silence for everyone who has to deal with Karens. And I'll see you in my next video.